At that point, I realized, oh my, she doesn't understand. So let's talk about negative numbers. OMG, negative numbers. Of the top two things that are the cause of the most pain and frustration for students learning math that goes with them from elementary school all the way to high school and beyond is the misunderstanding and the confusion and the pain around negative numbers. The other one is fractions, okay? But negative numbers, which is introduced in the 6th grade, it's not even called negative numbers, is the cause of so much of the pain and dysfunction which comes in math, usually around 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, especially 9th grade when you get to algebra. So the first thing I tell, how did I discover this? A few years ago, I was a family member who was helping my nephew's daughter. She's 14 years old and struggling with math, and she had a perfect handwriting, worked very diligently, worked really hard, and was still having trouble. I was told having terrible trouble in math. So I looked at her algebra test. It was a test on quadratic equations, and she got the problem wrong, despite working really, really carefully. And the teacher looked at it and assumed that the mistake was she got the sign wrong. So the teacher, which is very understandable, very common. I mean, you get one sign wrong, you get one negative instead of a positive, and the whole problem comes out wrong. And so the teacher pointed out that she must have gotten the sign wrong. And so I looked at this and I asked the girl, I said, what's 2 minus 3? And she says 1. I said, no, what's 2 minus 3? And she says 1. I said, well, what about 3 minus 2? And she says 1. I said, well, what's 2 minus 3? And she says 1. At that point, I realized, oh my, she doesn't understand. She doesn't know what a negative number is. She's not that she confused the sign. She doesn't know what a negative number is in the first place.